popular filmmaker Nikolai Arcel is being interrogated by an Inquisitor as to why he has sinned. You see, he has performed the atrocious act of committing a work of art, which is a film that takes place in 1750 Denmark. And unlike Disney, he decided not to include black people. So now the Inquisitor is absolutely livid and is going to ask the question.
This is a cast and a Danish production, which is entirely Nordic. It therefore has some lack of diversity, you would say, as also new rules are implied in Hollywood.
What are you on to?
It's kind of funny because, like, this is literally what a person from 5 years ago would have asked an Inquisitor. Like, are you okay? Like, is everything up in here? Are you suffering from some sort of mental deficiency? Like, we're making a historical film. It takes place in 1750. What are you insinuating? And of course he's insinuating that the filmmaker is a racist. That's what he is insinuating. Like, the party, BlackRock, has decided that this is the correct way to create art. We now have an entire industry. There's an assembly line. You follow the recipe. If you deviate from the recipe, you are a sinner, you are a filthy person, you do not deserve to win awards.
Sorry, but
From the get-go.
From the get-go, there is some... Okay.
Well, first of all, the film takes place in Denmark in the 17th.
Right, so I guess this clip doesn't have the whole thing, but I will tell you what it was about. They basically say that, how can you expect to win a prize now? How can you expect to win an award? Like, awards require the spice melange, the diverse. Without the spice melange, you cannot have an awarded movie. The spice must flow. That's literally how they are thinking. And this guy, N. Arcel, is basically humoring this guy. It's like, oh, well, we have one black person in the movie, and because it takes place in 1750, we already proved that we are not racist. This is so disgusting. Like, never in human history have you seen so much people getting bullied into following an ideology that is so bizarre. Like if you want to make a movie that takes place in the United States right now, and you would just purposefully not cast a single person of color, I can see why a reporter may ask. But even then, the answer should be, fuck you, that's why. You know, because if a black person wants to make Prince of Bel-Air and is only casting black people, that's also fine. You know, like, they're afraid of the public. This is what they are scared of. They are terrified of democracy. They are terrified that the public might actually watch the movies that they don't want the public to watch. And they will not watch the movies that the public should watch. This is what frightens them the most. It's about social engineering. It's about control. It's about not giving you an alternative. It's about everything being the same. Every movie following the same pattern. Like, every movie should be like fast food. You know, when you go to McDonald's, you already know what you're going to get. You're going to get those awful French fries with that soggy hamburger. That's what the movie industry is like now. Like, you expect you're going to get shit. Slop. And the reason you get slop is because there is only one way of making that McDonald's hamburger. There is only one way of making the French fries. You do not allow the McDonald's worker to experiment. So in this situation, they do not want people to experiment. And what's even more disgusting than this, again, it's clipped out from the movie, from the video, but at one point he says, you remember the movie Parasite that was made in Korea, and as we know, Korea is very diverse. And my jaw was dropped because, like, they're actually saying what the problem is. The problem they have isn't, like, diversity or lack of that. White people. That's literally it. It's like, oh, so we're allowing white people to make movies now with other white people? Like, what is this heresy? The way they are treating it, and you get to see this especially when they're making remakes and when they adapt for modern audience, they view it as if, like, if a group of white people gets together, and I have seen this with journalists on Twitter as well, like, implying this. If a group of white people gets together, whether it's a dinner, whether it's a business, there is something inherently wrong with that. Like, it literally bothers them to no avail. Like, the fact that there is freedom of association keeps them awake at night. Like, they literally cannot sleep knowing that somewhere out there, there's probably like 4 white people that are in a group, and it's just them by themselves, and this drives them insane. And what's interesting is, right, like, you have heel versus babyface, which makes the things about the pronouns, and everyone gets to laugh at him, and everyone ridicules him, but no one laughs or ridicules these journalists. I mean, again, like, if a journalist would have said this 10 years ago about a historical movie that takes place in Denmark, and his concern was like, why do you not have non-Danish people in it, or why don't you have people of color in it? Everyone would laugh at him. They would look at him like he's some sort of imbecile. Like, what are you asking? What are you saying? What is this nonsense? Right? Like, it's a historical movie. Like, duh. But now they're treated with so much prestige and respect, and I think it's actually not prestige and respect. I think it's fear. I think people are terrified. It's like, the starts of the Soviet Union, when you start to fear the Stasi. You start to be afraid. And even though you know that the Stasi is wrong, and even you know that he is talking absurd gibberish, you have to treat him like the crazy person that may at one point snap. Seriously, it's kind of like being locked in a room with an insane individual, right? Which looks calm, is peaceful right now, but he's very muscular, doesn't seem very smart, and you know that if you offend him, if you say anything that would remotely offend him, he just snaps. It's like being stuck with Trevor from GTA. So you have to, like, even though he's saying something that you disagree with and he's saying something ridiculous, you have to play along. You have to play along, because if you don't, your life could be in danger if it's that. It's literally the same. Now, in this case, it's not their life, it's their livelihoods, right? Like, if they say something that is considered to be problematic, they will never be able to make another movie again. Like, even if this movie would be incredibly popular and it would get a lot of fans and everyone would watch it, if they say anything problematic, then they would have difficulties in getting new actors, they would have difficulties in securing funding, they would have all these other difficulties. So this is why they have to play this pretend rather than laugh, ridicule, and mock this person out of the room. And again, like, this person themselves is pointing out the double standards. It's like, okay, the movie Parasite has diversity. And what diversity? In the movie Parasite, everyone is South Korean. There's no diversity there, right? But, like, for some reason, and again, when you say diversity, they don't mean, like, people of different class, people of different backgrounds. Like, for them, literally, all white people are the same. Whether you have a farmer from a rural area that's a Christian next to an atheist that works at Amazon as middle management, the diversity officer, which happens to be a woman at Blizzard, whether they're Norwegian or Danish or English or Russian, like for them, literally all these people have no diversity whatsoever. They're the same. They have the same experiences, the same mindset, the same goals, the same... I'm not even going to ask how is it not racist. It's like, how is it not being called out is what I wonder. And usually the answer is a lot of money and financing in order to enforce this culture that's not just racist but has absolutely no sense. And anyone that opposes it gets fired, which is why people are terrified to speak out, even when they're a filmmaker like this guy pretending to be a little bit clueless and not get what's being talked about. I guess is the only way of resistance. Because if he was to start disagreeing and start arguing on why his movie shouldn't have diversity because the historical movie from the 1750 in Denmark, then he would have been cancelled. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.